Well, this looks different. Eh.
A 1 and a 2 and a chicka-boom and shit.
What's up, everybody? This is Kevin here from Happy Beard Games, your source for classic gaming goodness. And today, we are playing DuckTales for the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES. Yes, we're going back to some classic game. This is some real classic gaming goodness today, guys. Now, DuckTales is based on the original Donald Duck cartoons, but you can see that this is not Donald Duck, although it's a very similar art style. And a very similar character too. They've interacted in previous stories, but this is Scrooge McDuck. It's a different character. He's a greedy, sort of Scroogey guy, hence the name Scrooge McDuck. He loves money, but at the same time he has a good heart. So he's Scrooge McDuck. He has 3 nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. This is mostly based on the TV series, the cartoon that they played on the Disney afternoon back in the day, and it's actually really fun. It holds up very well today, so if you're intimidated by classic games, or you think it's a little too retro maybe, this game actually holds up very well. Like last time we played Mickey Mousecapade, that had many flaws. It was far from perfect, but DuckTales is a huge step in the right direction for Capcom. Remember, this is Capcom publishing and creating Disney games on the NES. Alrighty, so without further ado, let's start DuckTales on the NES. So on the land select, you have 5 stages of the game. Now, the first one is the Amazon, where you'll be going after the scepter. In Transylvania, you'll be going after a golden coin. In the African mines, you'll be going after a jewel. The Himalayas, it's a crown or something of sorts. And the last stage is the moon. Yes, the moon. You'll be going into outer space all the way up into the moon. And there'll be aliens and robots and such. But your goal is to get some green cheese.
Moon cheese.
Not only that, but this game has a very memorable soundtrack. And you probably won't notice most of it on this video because I'll be talking over it. But there's going to be some great soundtrack in this game. Specifically the moon stage. It's one of the most highly regarded songs on the NES library. So the controls, you've got the D-pad to move left and right. You can crouch down, which doesn't really do much, but it might help you dodge some enemies. You've got the A button to jump, of course. You can jump small, you can jump high by holding it down longer. Pretty simple stuff. But then you got the B button. It doesn't do anything. There's no attack. Or is there? Okay, so what you do is you jump, and you hold down and B, and then you can pogo. Yes, pogo.
When Scrooge McDuck uses his cane as a pogo stick, it becomes the key mechanic of the game, pogoing. Pogoing in DuckTales is not only used to travel fast on the ground and to bounce on the ground, it's also used to defeat almost every enemy in the game, including all the bosses, It's also used to open treasure boxes, break bricks, and find secrets on the ground, because there's actually hidden spots where just by traveling over them, or pogoing on them as well, you can find hidden gems which add to your score.
However, there's one more control you can do, and that is if you walk over to an edge or a rock or a treasure box, Scrooge McDuck will ready his cane if you're holding onto the wall. And then you just push the B button and he'll whack it. Now sometimes items will come out like gems. Sometimes it'll just, if it's a rock, it'll just crack. If it's a treasure box that you hit, you can actually slide it across the floor, and then you can hit it again when it's on a wall to break it. There's certain objects that you have to hit to slide around, so you can use them as platforms, which is really cool. I like that. And then there's also a few enemies, actually, that you can kill that way. It's really interesting the way they did that, too. It'll happen later on in the Transylvania stage. Take a look at the top of the screen. You've got your HUD, and then you've got money, which is represented by in-game. You'll be picking up gems and jewels, and that'll convert into money somehow. And it's basically just like points. And then you've got P2, which is your lives, so I have 2 lives currently. If you run out of lives, you go back to the title screen. There's no continue, guys. And then you've got your time, which you really don't have to worry about unless you're really stalling. But your time, I've never had it run out. And then you've got your HP, which is hit points, your health, of course. And you start with 3. You can pick up 2 more in the game on a couple stages specifically. You can't pick them up randomly. But they are in specific locations, and I'll be showing you those too. Now here's a scene of the game that I really like. It plays out really interestingly. So you walk over to the right, you see this rock, you ready your cane, and then you push B, it'll fly up, hit that treasure box, and not only hit the treasure box, it'll make it drop onto an enemy below, kill the enemy, and give you the contents of that treasure box. Now that's really cool gameplay. I think that's really interesting the way they did that. There is multiple paths you can take, and there's a lot of hidden areas. Each level has at least one hidden area, from what I know. And they're usually pretty easy to find. I found them pretty early on. But it's pretty straightforward. Just follow the path, try to make it to the end, fight a boss. If you can make it to the character launch pad, Scrooge McDuck's buddy, who's a pilot, he can give you a lift back to Duckburg, the town that the level select is at. So basically it'll just take you back to level select. But if you choose B, which is no, you can stay at the back of the level, which is what you're probably going to want to do. But it will also give you a checkpoint, so if you die on that level, it'll bring you back here. Now, one thing that's important to know about dying in this game is that when you lose a life, and then you come back to the level, all those gems, and even the health packs that you can get, like the ice cream cones, and the cakes, those will not be back. If you pick up one of these M coins, it'll allow you to be invincible for a few moments. Not only that, but it'll allow you to kill enemies, so it's very similar to the star in Super Mario Bros. And you get to this room where it says pay money to pass through here, a lot of money. And you can actually skip that, and there's an easy way to get past it. All you have to do is wait for an enemy to come by, and you have to lure him into the room, and then you jump on him, and then you just climb up that vine. You run into one of your nephews up here. He says, use your cane to defeat the treasure keepers, which is pretty much just a straightforward thing. Basically just beat the level, fight the enemies. Later on, they'll have different characters show up, and they'll give you clues of things you have to do specifically in the level, such as find a key, or stuff like that. You run from these falling bricks, Indiana Jones style, and you bash these 2 slidey things over, and you make it to the boss room. Try to beat this boss. The first boss is sort of like a tiki idol statue guy.
The key to beating the Amazon's boss is to practice your pogo skills, which by now you should be pretty good at. Watch out for the boss's ground pound attack, because it'll stop your movement for a few moments.
Alright, then we beat the first boss of DuckTales. Now we'll move into the second stage, Transylvania, where things get a little spoopy and Castlevania style.
Alright, so for the next 4 levels and the final boss fight, completing the game, we're going to look at this directly. It'll allow me to show some direct tips, tricks, secrets, how to beat the bosses, and more directly and a little bit more closer up to the gameplay. So let's jump in with that right now. The The Castlevania-esque, or at least haunted, spooky Dracula Castle-inspired second stage, Transylvania, is a great horror-themed level that fits in surprisingly well. Sort of like the Boo House levels in Mario games. Scrooge McDuck will mostly be fighting skeletons, mummy ducks, and ghosts in this stage, which are unique to this level. You will encounter a Beagle Boy, one of the villains from the series, who has captured one of your grandnephews. The Transylvania stage is not as straightforward as it features teleporting mirrors, which are easy enough to solve and to remember their warp location, so it's not going to be too confusing, but there is going to be some warping around the stage through mirrors. The enemies are unique here, and the mummies can be destroyed by smacking their chain ball onto them, and it looks very Disney. Ghosts cannot be killed and must be avoided. Some coffins will release ghosts when struck. The character Webigail is also on this stage, and she will give you a hint. Upon rescuing your grandnephew, he will give you a hint that there's an illusion wall on this stage. Finding that illusion wall will give you an HP upgrade inside a treasure chest. One of only 2 in the game. I highly recommend picking this one up. Head toward the boss room to battle Magica Dispel. She is of course a classic reoccurring villain from the TV series. In this fight, she transforms into a bird to fly at you around the room. For an attack, she also uses a 3-directional magic strike. To defeat her, jump on her while she is low flying. Then grab the coin and you've won this stage. The African Mines stage starts out differently. As your grandnephew Louis will tell you, you actually have to go back to the Transylvania stage. It will send you there automatically, and get a key. The key is located in a warp from the first mirror in that previous stage. Pretty easy to find. When you have the key, head back to the African Mines from the level select. I personally love the music on this stage. The enemies here are different as well, though it mostly features the same great platforming level challenge. The enemies this time include silly slugs, plant monsters again, kappa ducks, a Japanese mythological creature, and giant flying bats, some of which can be beaten by hitting rocks, golf style. There's a couple Beagle Boys here too. There's a higher emphasis on precise jumps over pitfalls here, but nothing too tough. Be sure to whack the boxes with your cane. You should get jewels this way. You can even find Mrs. Beakley, a character from the show, and she will give you health pickups. There's also another illusion wall here. It will lead you to a 1-up extra life doll. The boss is the King Slug. To defeat the King, you have to hit him only when he is not rolling, otherwise he will hurt you. The rolling happens as a pattern, and is easy to follow, though you won't know which way he will roll, so keep your distance a bit. Hit him 5 times to become the new king of the African Mines, and get the boss treasure to complete the stage. The next stage is the Himalayas. Since this is an icy cold mountaintop, there will be both thick snow, which won't allow you to pogo, and ice, which will, in true video game fashion, be very slippery. On the outer parts of the stage there will be goat enemies. These are particularly hard to dodge because of their own high jump ability. There are also bunnies that hide under the snow. Be careful not to miss, or it could cost you some health. There's once again a Beagle Boy here. What are they up to? A good part of this stage is inside a cave. There will be giant cave spiders. The cave spiders hang on the ceiling and will fall when you go underneath, attacking you. One of your grandnephews is down here too. He will ask you to rescue his friend Bubba, who has become trapped in the ice. If you rescue Bubba, he will break away a secret wall, revealing the second, and final, extra HP upgrade. The hardest part of the stage for me is the short floating platform near the end. It took me a couple tries. Luckily, if you can get past that, it's the end of the stage, and now it's time for a boss fight. The boss of the Himalayas is appropriately the Abominable Snowman, aka the Yeti. he is actually pretty simple. Dodge the falling snowballs that fall from the top when he punches the walls. Jump on his head a few times when he is on the ground, and you're good. Grab that treasure and let's go to the moon! This is probably the stage that you've all been waiting for. It is also pretty much the game's final stage, if you play it in order. In this stage, Scrooge McDuck ascends onto the surface of the moon itself, going where no duck has gone before, one small web step for duck kind. This consists of mainly two areas, the surface and caves, and the alien spacecraft, the UFO. The surface has mostly robot ducks as enemies and is a straight path. You will have to enter the spacecraft UFO in the center of the stage to complete this level. There are bigger pink aliens inside that mostly just walk around on their own, and then there are red floaty aliens. Both types are fairly easy to avoid and or defeat. Be sure to thoroughly search both sides of the ship. There are plenty of treasures to be found in every area of the ship. When bouncing off of enemies, watch out for the ceiling spikes. As an additional enemy, there's more robot ducks in the upper portions of the ship. Sometimes the robot ducks get stuck in a strange punching animation when they land on top of spikes. It's kinda weird. Webby tells you to get a key to open a part of the ship. The key is located in the top left portion of the ship. Once you return to Webbygale's location, you can use the key to unlock the door and get a piece to help out Gizmo Duck, who you'll need to help open a cave. One of the game's hidden treasures is located at the very top of the UFO. It's not necessary to have this to complete the game, but it will give you a lot more money and a higher score. So you have to go across this very tricky platforming path, but it's not too hard if you're trying to get to it and it's worth it. Now head down and out to the right of the UFO ship. Watch out for another moving platform. All the way to the right, Gizmo Duck, another character from the TV show, comes to your aid and helps open up a moon cave. Whoa, graphical glitch maybe? Spooky. Dive on in. The cave is short and simple and only contains Beagle Boys as enemies. The boss of the moon and guardian of the green cheese is the Moon Rat. The Moon Rat runs on the floor and the top two platforms, and you pogo onto his head to fight him. He's actually a pretty simple and straightforward fight, but make sure he is not invulnerable when you go to attack him next. He is fast too. Grab that cheese and get ready. Yes, you read that right. Dracula Duck is the villain and final boss of this game. Scrooge goes back to Transylvania stage, again, to fight Dracula. Head back to where you fought Magica De Spell earlier in the game, you know, the boss from Transylvania. Dracula Duck is waiting for you there. This boss battle is definitely hard. The most difficult thing in this game for me, by far. Dracula Duck appears. His attacks are he sends out one bat at a time to fly after you. The bat appears in the same path that you are, so if you're jumping or in the air, it can still get right to you. Dracula floats above the ground here, so you have to pogo up to him. It is the only way. You have to jump off the bat in order to land on Dracula's head. The trick to beating him is to wait just a little bit after he sends out a bat, then jump on it, bounce off and land on Dracula's head. Try to position your movements so you don't get hit in the process. This boss fight will take time and patience. After landing the final blow, get ready because you're not done yet. Suddenly, Magica De Spell appears as a bird, and she's carrying Glomgold, Scrooge's rival, and a villain in DuckTales. Race them up the rope and grab that treasure before they can. Check out that treasure, and then check out the ending scenes. Congratulations, you beat the game DuckTales on the NES.
Hooray, Uncle Scrooge, we're glad you found the treasures. But don't forget, we helped too.
Right, lads, I couldn't have done it without you. I really am the richest duck in the world.
Alright guys, so we just completed DuckTales for the NES.
What did you think of the game? Did it inspire you to pick up and want to play this video game? I think it actually holds up very well. The controls are pretty tight. The pogoing takes a bit to get used to, but the soundtrack's great. It keeps you motivated, keeps you going. If you're a fan or in any way enjoyed the TV series, or even a fan of just Disney cartoons in general, you'll probably get a kick out of this game, even for its art style, which actually holds up pretty well, even though it's an 8-bit graphics game. In addition, it's worth noting that there is a remake of this game called DuckTales Remastered for some of the more high-definition consoles, such as the Nintendo Wii U, PC on Steam, and Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, for examples. And that is actually a very well-made remake, or remaster, of this game, with added levels, improved audio quality, including the song from the actual TV show, with lyrics, and slightly improved gameplay. It might be a tad easier than this, but this isn't really that difficult. Like, in all honesty, this is a lot easier than most NES games that I've played. And the HD remaster is actually very, very well made, in my opinion. It's one of the best remakes that I've played. So yeah, DuckTales on the NES. What else is there to say about it? It's got a great soundtrack, colorful graphics, great characters from the show. It stays faithful to the actual storyline of the show, or at least the characters and the feel. And it has great gameplay and the great pogo mechanic, which is really infamous. That's been carried over to things like Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, with Cranky Kong, and some other games as well. Shantae a little bit. But yeah, this is a really great game. I highly recommend it for anyone with an NES and an urge to play classic platforming games. So either this or the remaster is definitely worth picking up. Alright guys, that's about it for DuckTales today on Happy Beard Games. Until next time, stay tuned to Happy Beard Games for more classic gaming goodness. And as always, Happy Beard Games. Oh.